It wasn't your fault. There's no way you could have known what would happen. You were just trying to do your best. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault! It all seemed pretty routine at the time. Wacko's supervillain hatches a nefarious plot. Situation gets ugly. Spidey swings in at the last moment to save the day. Villain in question, the chameleon, the master of the skies. Erstwhile Soviet spy. Bit of a lightweight, to be honest. Ugly situation involved in kidnapping your wife. Only there, things got a bit complicated. Because when you swung into action, you discovered Chameleon hadn't come to hurt you. He was just some poor, confused muck, trying to get your attention. He was rambling, incoherent, unpredictable.
I love you, Peter.
Whammo. He told you that he loved you. He didn't really mean it to sound the way it did. It was just his crude, clueless attempt to reach out to someone. Anyone. And you treated him like some kind of chump. You laughed at him. And he laughed too. It was real funny for a moment. The both of you cracking up like that. Superhero and villain, yucking it up on a rooftop. You figured that put an end to it. But instead it made things worse. Ultimately, you're the one who sent him over the edge. How were you to know? It wasn't your fault. It was him. You didn't kill him. He killed himself. You just have to keep telling yourself that. Maybe you'll eventually believe it. You come down slowly. One step at a time. Maybe it's your mind playing tricks. But you imagine you hear a sound ahead. Not that you'd ever admit it, Pete. But that's a clock ticking on your criminal soul. It's that old so elegant timepiece in the vast expanse of your perfectly empty apartment wall. Place is deathly quiet. Smell of cooking. No Mary Jane as usual. This isn't your home. It's a prison. It's 6 p.m. You know where your wife is?
Oh, Peter, look at you. You're sopping wet. Is it raining outside?
I can't say I noticed, Aunt May.
That'll do, Mr. Smart Alec. You know, that wit of yours will be the death of me one day. You mark my words.
Poor old dear. She's trying so hard to make you feel better. But the forced smile is just her way of pretending she isn't worried. Her urgency just makes you feel even more alone.
I thought you'd be home later, so I just this minute started on dinner. It's
my favorite. Sure, Aunt May. I just need a few minutes to freshen up, okay?
That's fine, dear. It won't be ready for another half hour. Just make sure you... Oh.
Sleep takes you. Like a spider takes a fly. That's the sound of time slowing down. Panic sets in. You're suddenly trapped in a web of your own making. Someone's here. Aren't they supposed to help you somehow? Why don't they come and free you? Maybe they just can't. Maybe no one can free you from the guilt that weighs so heavily in your soul. In the dream now, time stands still. It's cold. No. You hear a familiar sound that reminds you of a faraway place. And suddenly, you're back there, in the throes of imminent defeat. You hear Captain Stacy down below, trying to clear the crowd, trying to protect the innocents from the consequences of your actions.
The pieces are falling below. What if anyone should be hit?
There's a weird sound. It's like blood rushing in your ears. All the adrenaline goes to your fingertips. He was like a father to you.
Captain Stacy!
And that's the sound of your world caving in.
Hang on, Captain. Hang on. I'll have you there in seconds.
No, my boy. It's hopeless. I beg you, stop. Let me down. You must. I have to talk to you. And there's so little time.
What is it, Captain? I'm listening.
It's Gwen. After I'm gone, there'll be no one to look after her. No one, Peter. Except you.
He died in your arms, Pete. It was all because of you. And even as he slipped away, you had the audacity to make him a promise you couldn't keep.
Rest easy, sir. Rest easy. I'll love Gwen and cherish her as long as I live. What if she ever learns that you died because of me?
You promised him. You promised! You said you'd protect Gwen. Said you'd look after her forever. But promises are like hearts, right? Made to be broken? It wasn't your fault. Why won't anyone understand? You can't do everything. You're not God. Everyone dies. Especially when they get close to you. Somewhere, there's a whisper. It's Harry, trying to forgive you as he dies right in front of your eyes. Elsewhere, a single shot rings out.
They said my mother was insane.
Raven the Hunter goes out with a bang. The Goblin goes out like he came in a mess of blood and tears. Crucified, not on a cross of gold. MJ? You hear your wife's heartbeat where there had been two before. She thinks she failed you. No. All around you, life, fragile and exquisite and inexpressible, crumbles into dust. This can't be happening. Osborn was telling the truth? All because of you, Pete. You still say it wasn't your fault? It always was. But get ready, because it's coming. Something big.
No! Not that! I don't want to see that! I won't! No! I won't look! You can't make me!
Can't stop it, Pete. Try as you might, it's always there, right in front of your mind's eye. You attempt to look away, but as you turn your head, a cold breeze comes in from nowhere. And suddenly you're back on that windy bridge. You hear him coming, like molasses behind you. 1,000,000 times you've been through this scenario in your dreams. Each time, you relive the panic of the moment. He catches her hard. Poor little Gwendy. Like she ever had a chance against the supercharged freak. You're powerless to stop it.
Gwen! No!
Like 1,000,000 times before, you make a desperate attempt to save her before she's lost from sight in the murky waters below. Her life flashes before your eyes.
Did it!
And then, that moment of not knowing, the moment that'll haunt your dreams again and again, forever and ever, until the day you die, you make an obligatory Spidey wisecrack as you haul her to safety. You have no idea what's really happened.
I saved you, honey. Don't you see? Hey, kid, what's wrong? Don't you understand? I saved you. You can't be...
Every time you have the dream, it always ends the same. Gwen always falls, and you always race to save her. You always come in second. Just like always. Maybe if you've never gotten involved.
I saved you, honey. Don't you see? I saved you.
Maybe if you'd let her fall. Let her take her chances in the water. It's a terrible burden you've been living with all of these years. The one that's threatened to pull you under so many nights. Maybe you killed her. They're becoming clearer now. These silent witnesses to your memories of failure. You need to go to them to find comfort. If you can just go to them, everything will be okay. The way it should be. But first, there's one more incident that weighs so heavily on your heart. Face it, Pete. It's what makes you who you are. Out in the kitchen, a warm smell of cooking vaults you back to your childhood. A safer, less cluttered time. Aunt May's preparing your favorite. Seems like everything she makes is your favorite. Her meatloaf is not the best. You never had the heart to tell her.
Although I must admit I do feel much better lately, dear. Mostly because you and Mrs. Watson took such good care of me while I was ill.
Naturally. I couldn't take a chance of ever having to eat someone else's pancakes.
Because it always seems worth the eating. The taste of it always transports you. Back to innocence. To when you were a skinny little geek with glasses. Back to when you still had Uncle Ben. The memories of that time are simple. Like a comic book. Infancy. High school. College days. Science lab. Spider bite. A rush of unimaginable energy. Aunt May. Uncle Ben. Peter Parker. Spider-Man. A man runs past you. Despite your newfound powers, you do nothing to stop him.
And one evening, as Peter Parker returns home from a personal appearance.
A police car? In front of our house? What could be wrong?
Uncle Ben, laying on the stairs like a discarded marionette. You wanted to harm to fly.
Huh? What the?
Surprised to see me?
You track the killer down to a warehouse. It's the same guy you let escape the week before. And then, there were two. Just you and your loving, trusting aunt. You did everything you could to help her through it. It was the only way you could shove all that guilt aside.
I didn't mean to, Aunt May. How was I to know?
You can't remember how many times you caught her crying for her husband who had been taken from her. But you could never say anything. You wanted to cry too and comfort her, and tell her it wasn't your fault. And that would have been a lie. He died because you were too selfish and lazy to prevent it. It was your fault, Pete. As soon as you accept it, that's when you'll be free of it. It's all become clear now. You can go to them. You've paid the price. Go to them.
Come on, then. Come and get it.
Yes. This is what you've been waiting for. It's what you deserve. It's your dream of a simpler time.
You've sneered at my prowess for the last time, Spider-Man!
Don't bet on it. You missed me again.
An easier, uncluttered time.
Ugh! Never felt a punch like that before. I'm reacting like any ordinary teenager.
What are you trying to do? Frustrate me? Fight back, do you hear? Don't water down my victory by making it too easy!
This is where you really want to be.
Huh! Is that the best you guys got? What a bunch of maroons! I gotta tell you, boys, this is too... It's too easy.
It's time for you to go now, Petey.
Beautiful, benevolent smile. You never really told her. Not really. Tell her.
I don't want to. I want to stay here with you.
You can't, sweetie. This isn't real. It's just the way you want things to be. But that's where you're supposed to be. It's where you really are. I know it's a big convoluted mess, Petey, but that's what you've become.
But I don't want that. It's too much. I lost you.
Better to have loved and lost, Sweet Pea. Better to have loved and lost.
Why can't I stay with you, Gwen?
You're sleeping. You have to wake up now. You have to wake up now. You have to wake up now.
Wake up, Peter. Wake up. Are you all right, dear? Were you having a bad dream?
No.